Want to learn how to switch chords fast? Today I'm going to show you 3 strategies to help you in your chord switching journey. Whether you're brand new or you've been playing for a while, these strategies can be applied across the board. Let's get started. The 3 strategies I'm going to show you today are going to help you build the skills that you need as a rhythm player. Guitar is such a cool instrument in that you have access to both single note melodies and chords. And today, of course, we're going to be focusing on the chordal part of the instrument. If you're looking to improve your guitar skills, then check out NYC School.com. We offer private online lessons, group classes, and virtual camps. When you join NYC Guitar School, you're not just signing up for lessons, you're becoming part of a community. At NYC Guitar School, we don't just teach guitar lessons, we coach personal greatness one lesson at a time. We have a wide selection of teachers from different backgrounds. Whatever your goals, whatever style of music you want to learn, we have someone who's going to be the perfect fit for you. Sign up for your trial lesson now for just $20. Pivoting is leaving your fingers down when you're going to switch chords. This isn't always possible, but this is the first question you should ask when you're tackling a new chord progression. Can I pivot? For example, take a G major chord. If we switch to an E minor chord, instead of lifting all my fingers, I'm going to leave the first finger down, like this. Again. Right there. This helps me to keep a point of reference on the guitar. Again, this isn't always possible, but when it's there, you should take advantage of it. Let's take a really famous chord progression as an example. This is a great exercise for pivoting. We're going to use 4 chords: G major, E minor, C major, and then D7. From G to E minor, we leave the first finger down and make my switch, right? Now if we're going from E minor to C major, I'm going to leave my middle finger down and I'm going to bring my third finger up, my first finger down. And then for D7, my first finger stays down and I move the second and the third. So each of these chords has a pivot finger. Now, it doesn't pivot when you come back, but I like starting with my middle finger just to get me back on track. And again, you have G major to E minor, first finger stays down, middle finger is my pivot from E minor to C, and then from C to D7, my pivot finger is the first finger. And that's your famous doo-wop progression. That's it. This second strategy is a bit covert, meaning there isn't a physical thing I can show you to implement this. This process takes place in your mind and it involves a little bit of patience. As unpopular as that word might be when it comes to guitar, patience is really key when it comes to making consistent and quality improvement. Let's take a scenario. G major to D major. The first question, can I pivot? No, I can't. There are no common fingers between these 2 chords. Instead of going for the chord change right off the bat and making these sloppy mistakes that end up getting into your muscle memory, we need to strategize by thinking ahead. We start on G major, or let's take a 3-finger G, right, regular G. And it's really quite simple. Think of the next chord and move 1 finger at a time. And the same goes for when you're coming back from D major to G major. This might seem really simple, but if you want to get to the point where you can switch chords fast and cleanly, you got to put some work in and take your time with this kind of thing to build in good exercises, good habits, and good technique. So let's think about these 2 chords. In switching from G, what I'll move is my first finger first. So I'll take my first finger and move it to the 3rd string. Then I'll take my second finger, move it to the first string, and then my third finger goes up to the second. And now I'm in D. And this happened sequentially. I didn't just go for the chord change and move every finger at once, although you will get to that point. But especially if you're just getting started with this kind of stuff, you want to take your time. So now to move back from D to G, I'm going to take my second finger, move it up to the 6th string, my first finger goes up to the 5th, and my third finger goes down to the 1st, and I'm back. This is a great way to practice chord changes. So again, 1, 2, 3, strum, and then 2, 1, 3, strum, 1, 2, 3, strum, and then 2, 1, 3, strum. You're teaching your fingers to go to the right place every time. You reduce your chances of making mistakes, and your fingers will learn whatever it is that you repeat. If you make mistakes constantly, then that's what your fingers will register, and it's way harder to change bad habits than to build good ones. So definitely stick with this one. A final piece of music has many layers. The music we hear on streaming platforms, the radio, or YouTube mostly contain multiple layers. From different instruments that are used, the parts that are played, the production. Of course, every song is different and the layers vary. I call them layers of complexity. The more difficult the song is, the more I have to dig through those layers of complexity in order to simplify it. Some songs are just too difficult to tackle them in their final form. What I do is break the key components down, I remove as many layers as possible, and I make it so this song becomes super easy for me to play. This way I can build up to it in chunks, and it also becomes fun. It's like a game. I start from the easiest level, and as I succeed, I start moving up the difficulty ladder. Winning is fun, playing correctly and sounding good is fun, but many times we can forget about this and just make it impossible for ourselves by trying to tackle the song just as it is. Let's take an example of a really famous song, Satisfaction by the Rolling Stones. So maybe you're not at the part where you can play a riff like that in time, you know? So what you want to do is simplify it, and underneath it, there are chords that are changing, and it will be, again, a D chord and a G chord. And they're changing every bar, every 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's going underneath the, right? So that's what I mean by breaking it down and digging through those layers of complexity. Because if you listen to a song, you won't find someone playing these chords exactly, right? These open chords. But this way you have access to the song now, and you've made an exercise out of it, rather than tackling this more complex part of music that maybe you can't play yet. You know, you can build up to it, but why not start with the chords, and then you can start playing the song right away, and then maybe you start adding some more strumming patterns. Like you saw, I just started playing whole notes. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is how I learn new songs too. I don't want to start with a final piece of music right away. If it's too difficult and I'm learning chords, I'll just start with whole notes, half notes, whatever the song it dictates, but I'll make it as simple as possible. Maybe after I get the whole notes, I can start doing an 8th note strumming pattern. You know, and start adding to it. But you want to make it easy for yourself so that you can actually get it, and then you start moving up the layers of complexity until you can play the final piece of music. So remember, this stuff is not something that you do today or tomorrow and then you kind of just forget about it. It's stuff that you can carry with you for as long as you play guitar. You know, things like pivoting, thinking ahead, and then breaking things down. These are not just for the beginner, and they're definitely not just for chords. These strategies, I apply them to stuff that I learn every day. So keep them close to you and try to make a habit of using these strategies. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have any questions, leave me a comment below. Till next time.